alive.
Are we on the internet?
I don't know.
Where do we input those internet connecting sound in early 2000s?
I have no idea.
So we're live now?
We are
Again?
live.
Yay.
I don't see it
Oh, you will.
yet. I do not see it yet.
Oh, there it is. I see it.
It's gonna be somewhat surreal, probably.
Yay, we're live.
Oh, there we go. You're alive.
So, Davor, what's up with the hoods? We can't find any normal picture of you.
It's a tactic.
Okay.
You know, you have to be, if you're an internet persona or trying to be an internet persona, and you're not really good looking, this is how you do it.
Ah, okay. Okay. Fair enough. Okay, Philip, you know what to do. Broadcast us.
Yep.
Share the link. Share it. Share it.
Yes, I'm doing it again.
Yay! 5 people.
I can actually...
5 people. We need 5 more, and that's it.
Wait. I'll share it on Zmajeva Garaža too. Just a second.
Yes. Yes. Bring more peeps.
I will add everyone. Everybody's gonna pay for it. Is ROTS.
What do you think? Did our drunk ass Bosnian join us? No?
I hope not. Alba, if you're hearing this, I'm actually rooting that you come, but I hope you don't. So, there we go.
We were
I've
promised some support for drunken Bosnians, so that's gonna be interesting. Can't wait. Can't wait for that. Oh shit,
Bosnians.
he's here.
Well, hello there.
Wow.
On a scale of 1 to I'm totally drunk, how drunk are you?
On a scale from 1 to Rakia.
Oh, then it will be, of course, yes, or Slivovic or something, but let's not get him ideas. Oh, and Adrian is here as well.
Hello.
On a scale of 1 to
Adrian,
shit.
Yeah, Alba said yes.
Of course I did. Right. Here, and...
So, which of you guys is just Caterins probably, or Joseph is in Ireland?
Yes, I'm in Ireland. That's why I insist on you know, the timestamps, the proper time zones.
Got it.
That's why. Sorry. So what? Same like last time. We're gonna wait for 4 more minutes. We start.
Yeah, let's wait until some more peeps come in. We have time, I think. Let me check the schedule.
yeah. Oh, we should actually say here that we're live. So
yeah. I mean, we have our own channel basically, so it's not a problem.
yeah, it is.
Maybe we should put that in Discord.
Yeah, I just did it.
So what? Didn't
right.
you like tell your mom 5 minutes ago that you have a stream going on? What's she gonna think?
What she's going to
Well,
to think.
you know, I already see it in my mind. You know, she comes back, she hears you open a beer, you know, and comes back into the room. What are you doing? That's how it starts. You start drinking online. You end up stripping for money. You show your body. And now my son, my poor son.
I have to admit, that's a really subtle way to to tell everybody that Philip's living with his mom.
Still in college, okay.
I
For
think that's
fuck's
even
sake.
worse.
Yeah, it is actually. I'll admit, worst decision of my life is to go in a college in my own hometown. Yeah, yeah, that's what you get for that.
Okay. Okay, 10 minutes.
Thank you.
10 minutes are up. I think we can start.
A bit,
Yep.
a bit more, but
No,
yeah.
no.
Oh my
No,
god!
it's okay. Whoever's here, whoever
Okay.
wants to view this here. That's it.
I mean, the video's gonna be up afterwards also, so probably. I'm guessing.
Yep.
They're
I just think we'll up after we
yeah,
end.
well,
it's going
you
to be
know,
live as well.
they're all gonna miss that awkward intros to interviews, so they're not gonna miss much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably gonna be the most fun
Well,
part.
yeah,
though,
that usually is the most fun part.
Okay. So, hello everybody. Welcome travelers and adventurers. So my name's Davor. That's how you say it, Davor. Davor. I had a job with the Americans, and they had trouble with my name, so that's why I'm saying it a lot, Davor. But I'm here on this channel of the rise of the sovereignless, or just let's say ROTS.
Nice.
Uh,
Didn't stumble too much.
with Joseph and Philip.
You sure it was only
Uh,
one beer?
Let me tell you, it was one beer, but
In
you
a
know,
keg,
that-
probably. Yeah.
it's that there's other stuff you can ingest into your body.
Oh my.
Um,
What happened to sharing is caring?
Corona
Okay.
happened.
Oh. Okay.
Philip
I
is
can
a
accept.
little whore and he doesn't care really.
If anything, there's
It is what it
kind
is.
of kind of much of oversharing with this virus out there. I would say. So let's start light. Let's start with that. Actually, just let's start with life. How are you guys dealing with all of this? With this COVID situation? How's life?
Well, I'm sure I'm dealing better with than Philip. I'm positive, you know. Corona really didn't have much of an impact on me. I was a gamer before this. I'm still a gamer. I don't really go outside, you know. But the only thing that I lost was going out and playing basketball with my mates. That's basically it.
Yeah. About me, well, as being an extrovert,
Oh, fuck off,
So
Philip!
I-
Again with that.
being the only extrovert, thank you for reminding me, in our team, this actually struck me harder than it should, because, well, I cannot go out, I cannot hang out with friends outside, there are no parties, no concerts.
Legally.
Legally, yes, of course. But we're talking about legal stuff, aren't we? Then still, well, I'm, as Joseph already mentioned, I am in a college still, so we switched to online rather than being actually present at the university. So there's that. So yeah, I hope not my professors aren't going to listen to this, but I sleep to most of my lessons. So yay,
Future
I got
Croatian
sleep
teacher.
for a change.
Future Croatian teacher, right there, people.
You don't need to say that. But okay, yeah. But just like Joseph, too am a gamer, so that part is, well, same. I guess we all have much more time to do it. But one more thing that we actually miss is, well, hang out together and usually creating more content and more memories together that we usually could do, but
Yeah,
now
I'll give you that
kinda
one.
cannot.
Yeah, going into the same room and playing together, you know, in the same room, all your mates in the
Yeah.
same room. Yeah, I'm guessing that's for all of us geeks here, you know, and fans of tabletop RPGs. I think that's the hardest part, actually.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. It's just not the same. Although there are people that are kind of used to playing online, so nothing really changed for them. Got those also, but for me, it's just not the same. It's weird playing online. But at least we're playing, and we all live in our basements anyway. So
you gotta take the best of it. I mean, before all of this, I didn't even know Tabletop Simulator existed, and now my preferred way of playing any tabletop RPG, for that matter, would be to have like a mini LAN party. So having people in the same room, but I wouldn't bother with with the physical miniatures and physical tables. I can play. I think physical dice are nice. I'd roll everything with physical dice, but moving miniatures on the battle map, for me, it's far superior going over in Tabletop Simulator than.
You mean these dice?
Thank you, Philip. Okay, more special effects.
We continue.
That actually kind of reminds me of Dungeons and Dragons 4th edition. They kind of went that way. I don't know if you guys know
the MMO version of D&D.
Yeah, so this would actually be the best time to launch something like that. Probably. They kind of, they were too far ahead.
I mean,
for their
in
own
fact,
time.
we have 2 D&D games, but one is way old now, the Dungeons and Dragons MMO, and the other is Neverwinter, still some kind of MMO, but as far as we know, those games are
but I'm talking about the tabletop 4th edition. So the way they went was that they actually made Roll20 is based basically on that 4E version, if I'm not mistaken. So they went out and made the whole thing so you can play it online. And the game is kind of structured so you can easily play it online. It works for that. But as we know, there was no wires back then, so people actually preferred playing live, not online. So that's why kind of the whole flop happened.
Yeah, but they with 4th edition D&D, they butchered, the soul of D&D, what it was, it was just an MMO played on a table. That's it, basically.
Yep.
It was really weird. It had almost nothing to do with D&D actually.
Yeah, it was a different game.
Definitely.
You could say. Although I do have some friends that were introduced to D&D with 4th edition, and they, it's their first game and they like it. So it depends on from which angle you approach it. I guess.
For us guys who play D&D 3.5, Pathfinder, and maybe even before that, D&D 4th edition was an atrocity.
Well, I was introduced to 3.5, but funny thing is, I actually skipped 4th edition, didn't hear anything about it. Then I heard some friends actually telling me what it is, and I was like, wait, why? Why would you go that route? And I actually never played it. Then we switched to other tabletop RPGs. I think Dungeon World and Pathfinder were the most popular options back then. And then when 5th edition came out, we all switched to 5th edition D&D.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to preach to me. I'm a taco guy, so.
Oh my God! Really? Jesus Christ! My condolences.
Yeah.
That's a permanent loss on one's sanity.
I even know what it means.
Yeah, to hit the
armor 0.
Me too. Unfortunately.
So there you go. That's where I come from. So guys, that was a cute introduction, but we're not here to talk about D&D. We're here to talk about ROTS. So I have here some questions. We'll see where we will end after I ask them. Yeah, so I didn't watch the whole video from yesterday. Had other administrator stuff to do, and organizer stuff to do with the contribution, but the stuff that I did see, it felt like the game has some similarities, at least with the Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, and that kind of games, at least at the first glance. But it is different in some ways. So I guess my question would be, what would you say? What is the main difference? What's the main thing that makes your game different from D&D and Pathfinder?
Well, as you said, it does have some similarities on first glance, and I'd even go further than that. I'd say a lot of similarities. If you compare the books, for instance, you can see that the books are very similarly structured. And what I liked about D&D and what I despised about, for instance, Savage Worlds, is that structure of their books. I could never reference anything in Savage Worlds. Their books are insane to read, at least for me. D&D, I could find what I wanted easily if I got stuck somewhere, you know. So you've got that. You've got classes, you've got races, you've got backgrounds, you know, all of those terms. They're all going to be familiar to people that have played D&D before. And all of these things, they function similarly in ROTS as they do in D&D. But ROTS takes a much different approach to how it executes these things. You see, and as you so eloquently said yesterday to me, ROTS is sort of high fantasy, you know. It does have fantastical races. It does have magic. It does have all of these things that define a game as a high fantasy game, but its approach to high fantasy is different. It's realistic. It's grounded. It's looking at high fantasy in a way, what if this was real? You know, what if this really were to exist? Now, if that was the case, how would people go about these things, realistically speaking? You know, how would people approach these things? How would they function realistically? You know, in D&D, your character at certain levels, it's basically unbeatable. In ROTS, that never happens. The similarities that happen between ROTS and D&D are there because D&D did make certain good things, in my opinion. It did get certain things right. You know, and I felt that there was no need to reinvent hot water, you know, reinvent the wheel, so to say. So the difference is basically in the execution.
Yeah, that's a good answer, I would say. What would you say, Philip? Is it a good answer? Are you satisfied?
I agree.
Well, definitely. I agree with him completely. Although we also do have some rather unique mechanics that and systems that you will not find in D&D and other tabletop RPGs that only further actually complement that grounded approach that we're looking for and trying to strive to. So, for example, that would be the Sanity that we also talked a lot about, and how we actually executed the fast and brutal combat.
Yeah, so, look, I mean, as you said, at first glance, it does have a lot of similarities, and it does have a lot of similarities, not just at first glance, but there are certain unique aspects to ROTS that are not present in D&D, and I think they are not present in any other tabletop RPG, for that matter. What Philip just said, combat, you know, combat at first glance, it does have rounds, it does have turns, it does have some phases to it, you know, it's structured similarly to D&D's combat. But the way you roll attack rolls, the way they interact with the opponent's miss rating, the way your armor affects your defenses, how it lowers your miss rating but increases your chances of converting hits into glancing blows, the level of freedom that you have when choosing your equipment, when building your character, I think that's, it's going to sound bold when I say it, but I think it's pretty unprecedented.
Oh, I mean, it's natural to think about, and it's good to think like that about your own product, I would say. So I was gonna ask some other question, but something popped into my mind.
Okay.
First thing, I think Philip mentioned it right now. There's a thing called Sanity. So is that inspired or taken from the Call of Cthulhu games?
Well, it's more inspired by Darkest Dungeon. I don't know if you know about that PC game actually. Yeah,
I know.
more inspired by that because in back there it's called Stress, and while
Right.
the characters are adventuring, they build up stress. Here, the equivalent of that is sanity points, but you lose them. And after losing a certain amount of sanity points, you will want to go back to civilization, and you will want to partake in resting activities to restore these sanity points. So I'd say it's more inspired by Darkest Dungeon than that, because the loss of sanity points is not permanent. You know, you can restore them by partaking in resting activities. Although the process of restoring these sanity points is not always straightforward.
Right.
Yeah, and also what I want to add, when you actually mentioned Call of Cthulhu, actually the tokens were inspired by board games, and to be precise, Arkham Horror and Eldritch Horror. We were playing those.
Oh, I love Eldritch Horror.
Yeah, we loved it as well. And while we were playing it, the idea actually popped while we were actually looking at those tokens. Like, probably some of us were, Joseph, why wouldn't we use these?
Yep.
Like, it fits perfectly, and it actually goes with what we actually want to represent. So even in that board game, you can lose sanity, and your character can die by losing his sanity. And it actually fitted perfectly for our vision and something that we wanted to recreate here. I mean, you will not die here from losing your sanity, but losing your sanity might eventually lead to your death in combat or wherever. So that's something we went for.
Okay, so this is good. So we're getting into the real stuff here right now, into the meat. But I would still want to get a little bit deeper with you guys. So I guess to attempt that, I'll just have to ask first, why? What is the main reason for designing this? We did touch on it a little bit, but did you maybe try first to find another game that would fit your style more? Like you said, you wanted some more realistic style of play, I guess. Or was there any game that fitted your style, or you didn't just find any and then decided, let's just do our own game, and then ROTS was birthed?
Well,
Joseph, you go on with this one.
Okay, so I don't know. I guess I was kind of satisfied with D&D 3.5 was basically the first edition that I was introduced with, and I started GMing right away, straight out of the bat. And for a time,
forever DM.
Yeah, for a time, it was okay. But somewhere around the time when I became a police officer back in Croatia, my rose tinted glasses were removed, and I started realizing what life really is and how people really are. And then it's that experience I had in real life started messing with my gaming experience. You know, suddenly I couldn't find satisfaction in overly over the top, and unrealistic stuff in tabletop games and games overall. And I started slowly changing the way I GM'd. I started creating more realistic worlds and more grounded fantasies and different settings. And I started maybe even subconsciously searching for let's call it the perfect game, a game that would perfectly balance realism and fantasy. And I just couldn't find it. I couldn't find it in D&D. I couldn't find it in PC games. I couldn't find it in tabletop games. And after DMing D&D for about 10 plus years, I got fed up with it. I homebrewed it heavily. I tried to change it. I tried experimenting with a few different game systems, mainly Savage Worlds. but it just wasn't enough. It wasn't it. It wasn't what I was looking for. And at one day, an idea just popped up in my head. You know, if it's obvious, at least to me, it was obvious that there isn't anything like what I'm looking for. So why not create it on my own? And because I was heavily influenced by D&D, I didn't want my game to be so influenced, at least in the negative aspects of what I disliked by D&D. And before really developing anything, I read about many different systems. And you could say I took the best parts of a lot of different gaming systems and incorporated them in some way into ROTS, into what it is now. But yeah, I'd say that period that you asked, was I trying to find something else? It was really short. It maybe lasted like maybe a month, and that's it. It didn't take me long to decide, look, I'm gonna create something entirely new.
I mean, yeah, that's the way to go, I think. So you kind of have to, do your due diligence and make the research.
Exactly. For instance, the Savage system, I liked it more. There was a lot of things there that really spoke to me, and that I liked more, preferred more than what D&D was doing. But as I told you before, their books, they're such a big mess. It's fucking amazing. And you're referencing anything, it's I don't know. And they're too broad to me. If to me, at least in my humble opinion, Savagery has a little problem where it tries to cater to too many things. And yeah. When you do that, you can do it, and Savagery does it, and it is quite successful. You can't say that it isn't. But when you do that, nothing that you actually do is perfect. You're trying to speak to too many different types of players, and you're trying to speak to too many different settings, and it's just, I don't know. It lacks the focus that more niche settings and games have.
I mean, I think it was meant to be like that. It's kind of like GURPS. If I don't know if you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's kind of more of a toolkit more than a game, let's say. So I noticed. I mean, I don't know if I noticed it correctly. You can correct me, of course. Did Philip say yesterday that there is a resurrection spell that you? I mean, this is very specific.
Yeah.
So there is a spell. It's a ritual.
Yeah, you do have a. I mean, okay, you do have a. Yeah, exactly. It's magic. You do have a revive spell. You do have a ritual, a resurrection that is a ritual. It's a bit different than casting normal spells. It does require material components, but yeah, magic is a thing in ROTS.
Yeah. So this is actually what I'm getting at is when you say more realistic, and I was talking to this about with Adrian Tchaikovsky, a famous writer that was on contribution yesterday. Who says that high magic worlds and world building are back in the game, so we can expect more books on that, hopefully. So what I'm getting at is that the logic in some books or in some games like D&D, where you have a resurrection spell, let's say, they don't really use it properly in settings. What I mean is, if you're like a rich noble guy, why the hell are you going to die? You will not die. You'll live forever. Because although there may be, in your setting there's a cost, you have to pay it or find it or whatever. But as a noble rich person in some world, you should be able to get it. Probably it's like a Ferrari in our world. If you're rich, you can buy it. So how did you approach this air quotes problem?
Okay. So first of all, Davor, this is a great question, and thank you for this one. because this will allow me to.
Oh no, he's going to rant.
No, I'm not gonna rant. No, I'm going to explain certain things, and this is gonna be beautiful.
Just let me pour my beer.
Okay,
first.
no problem. Pour your beer.
Yeah, it's going to be a rant.
No, it's not gonna be a rant. This is a beautiful question, and is basically what was going through my head as well. Like, there are certain things in high fantasy and high magic settings exactly like this that make no sense. Like, if resurrection is readily available to everybody, why do people die? Great question. So how do we handle this in ROTS? As I said, the main difference of ROTS and D&D is how we approach these things. So if you're looking at resurrection, first, you've got the material component cost. That's number one. So it's not readily available to everybody. That's number one. Number two, what if the person has a shit ton of money, as you said, a noble? Well, then you've got something else as well. When you cast the resurrection ritual specifically, but this applies to many rituals as well, and to certain spells as well, you've got a chance, and it's not a small chance, to fail. So when you're casting the resurrection ritual, you roll a resolution die. Resolution dice in ROTS are basically D6 or normal D6s, and the rule that requires a resolution die tells you how the roll is going to be applied. So specifically in resurrection, you roll a resolution die when trying to resurrect a fallen ally or creature or whatever. And if you roll a 1, the ritual instantly fails. You use up all the material components. So it's a big waste. And on 1 you fail, and the creature can never be resurrected again, never, by anything. On a 2 to 5, the ritual succeeds, but it comes at a great cost to the caster and to the one being resurrected. And the best part is, the GM decides what this cost is every single time. So it can be whatever he wants. It can be a physical disability. It can be a mental disability. It can be a loss of levels. It can be a loss of memory. It can be whatever he wants. He can really fuck up with the players this way. And only on 6 does the ritual succeed without further complications. So you see, the ritual will often fail in some minor way. Sometimes it will fail completely, and very rarely will it succeed. Magic in ROTS does exist, but it's very unstable. It's a luxurious commodity. It's very unstable, and because of this, and because of its instability and how it affects the material realm, most people, especially commoners, are afraid of it and afraid of spellcasters. Which in turn has the effect of most people, we're being realistic here. What you don't know, you fear. What you fear, you hate. Most people hate spellcasters and they hate magic. At least in my setting, in my world, my fantasy world. So that
would be, I mean, sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
I mean, it's a great thing to get into, and I think you actually got some really good points there. I play D&D, so the specific spell, I have a problem with it, so I kind of tweaked it a bit, actually ripping off Matt Mercer, as we all know. He's gonna watch this, I'm sure.
Maybe one day.
Shout out to Matt Mercer.
So I tweaked it a little bit also. So I was just going to ask. You were talking about settings and rules and how magic works in ROTS. So basically, ROTS. So does it come with a built-in setting, the rulebook, or does the GM have to come up with a world of his own? How did you approach this part of the book or designing?
Okay, so I've tried to make the player's guidebook specifically as unconnected as much as possible to my own personal setting. Now, what we will, if the plan is to release a Kickstarter and to raise enough funds to finish the player's guidebook and the bestiary, if the Kickstarter is successful, eventually a new Kickstarter will probably follow it, where I will release the guidebook to Everon. Everon is the specific world of fantasy and the setting that I created while creating ROTS. Now, my plan is to have ROTS, the player's guidebook at least, to be, as I said, not connected too much to my own personal fantasy. Why? Because I want ROTS and the player's guidebook to be more like paint and a canvas. You know, it's up to the person how they want to use that paint, how they want to draw, and in what order they want to draw, and what they want to draw. It's up to the GM. You know, your ROTS is a bit specific, so it is for instance in this allegory it is a canvas, and it is paint. You're not gonna be using that paint to paint over the walls, you know, and you're not going to be using your piss to and paint that on the canvas. So you will have some certain specific tools given to you, but how you use those tools, that I'm trying to make it completely up to the GM. And one of the in the first chapter of the book, or the player's guidebook, there is, at the end of it, there is the special rules, and I think it's the second or the third special rule. It's titled GM superiority, and basically it says that your GM is allowed to do everything and anything they want. Their word is law, and they can contradict whatever they want in the player's guidebook. When the GM does it, it's not cheating. It basically how it is. Your GM is the supreme authority of every single game that you play, you know, and that's how I approached it. So there will eventually, hopefully, come a setting that I have in my head, and then I have started writing certain lore about it, and my players, we are play testing the game in that setting, so I do have to have something written for them so they can, you know, build up their characters properly and make their backstories properly. But for now, it's the plan is to release it later on, you know, to have the game be as
compatible with much as settings that
to allow any GM to have whatever they want with it.
Yeah, with that, I also tried GMing ROTS, and I did have my own setting, and it actually differed quite a lot from Joseph's. I even tried to include more of a high fantasy approach than we have for than Joseph's. That's more realistic, and it worked quite well. It wasn't over the top fantasy, but I could have used a bit more fantasy. Magic was a bit more reliable, and
basically
come up with some certain
Philip's
things.
setting was way over the top than mine, and surprisingly, it worked out fine.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm always inspired by, let's say, Dragon Age. That I love that setting. I love that game series. So my setting is something similar like that. So in terms of high fantasy, it's something like that. While Joseph, your setting is what, Dark Souls or something like that?
Yeah, basically, everything's fucked up pretty much.
Yeah, so there you go. There are the two comparisons of how actually to do completely different settings could work within the same game system. The game system actually allowed us to do that.
I mean, there is a term that's used for games like D&D, Pathfinder, and others that are, you know, fantasy genres mainly. There's a term that's called sword and sorcery. Yeah. So, is this a sword and sorcery game? I mean, could your system be used in other kinds of stories, like, I don't know, slashing horror or cyberpunk?
I think it could, and I think it could easily, because if you remove the magic aspect of it all, if you remove the magic aspect of it all, you would still be left with a very interesting system. You know, magic is contained in one single chapter within the book, and a lot of the classes don't even have spells available to them. So you could take out like four or five classes out that have spells available to them, and you would still be left with, I don't know, 5 or 6 which don't use them, which don't utilize them. That's number one. Number two, the mechanics themselves, especially how we approached combat, and especially how we approached armor. That's you could use that, and I think our system is. I don't think there is a system as good as ours to represent realistic medieval combat and how armor affected your character. I don't think there is a system that does as good of a job as ours does. So you could use it for a setting that is like completely medieval with zero magic in it. I could now when you said cyberpunk, I'm not really sure about that one.
Or any kind of sci-fi.
I'm not really sure about that one.
We do not have guns and gunpowder.
You can look. You can because you've got misrating, you know, which is affected by armor, and in those types of games, you do wear certain types of armor, anyways. So anything that has any connection to armor and combat that has any semblance of realism to it, you could use ROTS easily. The mechanics of it. I'm guessing for cyberpunk you would have to have a system similar to magic, you know, for being augmented by certain cybernetics or stuff like that. And then you could also use ROTS as a system of resource points, of how those certain unique powers granted to you by cybernetics and different types of limbs and implants and whatnot can be used. So I'm sure that the GM would have to I don't know, homebrew it a lot, but certain mechanics can be used, and I really stand by what I said, that certain things that how ROTS does it, I really don't think there is a better way of doing it, especially the defense, hit points, being hit in combat, and how armor affects it. I really don't think there is a PC game or a tabletop game, or a console game that does it as good. Not even Dark Souls, for fuck's sakes, my favorite series doesn't good.
So I guess my question, the next question was, what kind of stories could be told with your system? I guess we kind of answered that.
Yeah.
Well, the stories that probably do not have happy endings most of the time. That's
kind of part of the question also. So is it heroic fantasy? Is your purpose of the game, you know, to make the heroes, or are they just like, you know, commoners with who stumbled on special abilities at some point, but they're still, you know, HP wise and in other segments still very, very killable.
Yeah.
Yes and no, but mostly yes.
You can't really. If I'd say yes, it would be a different type of yes than what you'd think. Well, now let me elaborate this a bit. So we approach, as I already said, we approach fantasy in a grounded way. What if this was real? How would it really function? So if this was real, if magic really,
maybe this helps. Is it more Conan than Lord of the Rings?
It's more. It's definitely more Conan than Lord of the Rings, you know, because your heroes, they are heroes. Let's make that clear. You know, they are heroes. They do have abilities that normal people do not, but they are still mortal. They will never be demigods like in D&D. They will never be able to single-handedly defeat an insane number of enemies, no matter how those enemies are weak compared to them. You know, they will never be able to defeat large groups of enemies on their own. Their spells will never be able to kill 20 minions in one spell. You know, it's never gonna happen in ROTS. They are heroic, and they are heroes in a way that they use what they have available to try and achieve things that are truly heroic. You know, but what makes them even more heroic in my eyes and in my opinion is the fact that they are so easily killable. They are not protected by plot armor. They are not protected by I don't know, by a ton of hit points, you know, and stuff like that. as I demonstrated yesterday in the combat, you know, Philip's companions and his character like were swarmed by one of the easiest creatures to fight against in ROTS, and I mean, I wrecked him. I know, Philip, that you would disagree, but I fucking wrecked you, man. And that's how it goes in ROTS. That's how it is. If you fail in your positioning, if you fail in planning, if you approach your opponents carelessly, you're gonna die. No matter what level you are, no matter how strong and powerful you think you are, the game will teach you that you are. You may be special in certain ways, but you're so ordinary in others.
And the thing is, the other thing I wanted to add before Joseph started to explain all of this, when you said what kind of stories we want to tell, actually a lot of it depends on GM as well. Joseph, well, his GMing is, well, let's say,
Dark Souls, like a family-friendly affair, you know. Casual.
Of course. Casual family affair, yeah. So basically,
it's Bridgerton, probably.
Yeah. So what he actually described there was, well, accomplishing a victory in a fight in, let's say, in D&D usually means, okay, we survived, let's go, yay. We survived the fight, yay. Here, holy hell, we fucking survived this shit. Yeah, there's a difference, right there, because the sense of death at the door and you being at death's door almost, well, constantly, dangers lurking everywhere, and you know that you have certain abilities and certain items that you can utilize, and that's it. There will be no godly interventions and god-killing powers, and you will not be a god-killing machine. You're just a mortal. And when you just achieve simple things from a realistic perspective, surviving a combat encounter when enemies outnumber you 3-1, and you actually pull it off, that actually gets you a sense of pride and accomplishment.
Yeah, I mean, it's like real life, isn't it? You know, superheroes and stuff like that. You know, those are tales for children. What are the real heroes? You know, moms and dads that go to work every single day, that fight for their families. You know, that earn income in a world that despises them, and you know, try to be something different. Those are real heroes. It's the same in ROTS. You can have all those powers, you know, but if you don't utilize them in a meaningful way, if you don't try to help somebody, you know, it all goes to waste.
Yeah, I mean, well, this is gonna be a controversial question, maybe. I don't know. Let's see.
Okay.
So what's to stop a person? You know, I mean, obviously, Joseph, you tried it, didn't work. Maybe you can elaborate on why it didn't work for you. But what's to stop a person if he has similar, you know, views on D&D like you, and just say, okay, I'm not gonna play Eberron, I'm not gonna play Forgotten Realms. I'll just make my own setting that's really low magic, more realistic. The dragon's gonna be nearly impossible to kill. There's no gods. Resurrection doesn't work, and there we go. I made a low magic system. Mages are found very rarely, so I don't know. You can ban even some certain classes like sorcerers or something like that. I don't know, and then it might work, or maybe it doesn't.
No, I don't know why you would think it's a controversial question. It's an excellent question. The reason why it didn't work for me, and the reason why it wouldn't work, and I'm 100% sure it wouldn't work for your hypothetical person trying to do it, is because the core mechanics, the most basic of basics, are built to cater to a high magic, high fantasy game. It is obvious. It becomes instantly obvious with hit points. At level 1, you start with, let's say, 10. At level 10, you got what, 100? More, depending on the class that you play. At level 20, who knows how much. What happens is, you get a sword strike at level 1, which deals 6 damage to you. Okay, you have 10 hit points. You lost 6, you got 4. Fucking hell, that almost killed me, as it should be. At level 10, You get stabbed 10 times. You don't feel it. Where's the realism in that? You can make dragons overpowered as much as you want. You can ban magic, but you can never get around that. What, you leveled 5 times and suddenly you grew another pair of lungs, or another heart, or your skin has 3 or 4 or 5 new layers on top of it, which now protect you against damage. Where's the realism in that? You can say, look, it's not health, it's hit points. It means that because of my experience, I dodged that blow. It didn't really hit me, you know. My experience saved me here. But yeah, but why did the opponent then roll the attack roll? Did he not physically attempt to hit you? And why were your hit points then reduced? Were you not hit? Why did he have to roll an attack roll that would beat your armor class if the opponent didn't actually hit you? What was the point in that? You know? So the simplest, the basics, the very basics would make it impossible, and that's what happened to me actually. That's what I started. That's basically the reason why ROTS exists now. Hit points and armor class. Those two things, they never sit with me, and I still think they are the most stupid mechanics ever to exist in tabletop games and PC games.
And there he said it.
We should have named this. We are hating D&D.
Oh, no, look. I know you're joking. I know you're joking a bit, but it's good to elaborate on this. I don't really hate D&D because I'm always going to be grateful for D&D, and I'm always going to be grateful to Gary Gygax because of D&D I was introduced to this wonderful world of tabletop RPGs and fantasy. And being
Gygax saved us all.
Being an introverted person, being bullied a lot, having an alcoholic father, for instance, that really fucked up with me a lot. And D&D was my escape. And D&D, like I would say, almost in an equal measure, helped me like my own personal beliefs and my faith. So it's always played a large part in my life. I don't have a problem with D&D's high fantasy, and I don't even have a problem with D&D's high magic. What I do have a problem with, not only with D&D, but with any other game, is the unrealistic approach it takes with high fantasy and high magic.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely more at stake in your games, and I think that makes it more fun. And I mean, we can conclude. So, because we're kind of running out of time, we can go over a bit, but what I was trying to say, all of you DMs or GMs out there, if you're playing D&D, do not attempt to make a low fantasy or low magic D&D setting. You have a game for it. It's called ROTS.
Exactly.
So,
no more homebrew. Welcome to the family. Play ROTS.
There we go. So, guys, you mentioned. Let's go to the marketing bit a bit. So, to conclude a bit with all that we were talking about, you mentioned that you have a Kickstarter. So I don't know, maybe plug in where people can find you. How can they support you? What will they be getting? And by the way, the art is beautiful. It's amazing. Wanted to say that a bit earlier, but forgot. Sorry.
Shut up.
So yeah.
Yeah. So basically, we are planning a Kickstarter. Hopefully, it's going to be this year.
Hopefully.
Now, what we did do is release a demo book. I think the link is in this video's description. It's available on Drive-Thru RPG Games. It's probably going to be available on, is it Itch.io pronounced? Something like that? Itch.io?
Itch.io, yes.
We're going to make it available there as well. It's completely free. It allows you to play test the game and see is ROTS something that you would be interested in. It is a bit limited. You can only play up until level 3, and you do only have 4 pre-generated characters. But 90% of all the rules are there. You can. It's built in a way to allow you to have a clear picture. Is this something that would interest me or not? You know, we're not trying to replace anything. We're ROTS is like life. We're just offering you options. That's it. That's all. Where you can directly contact us is on our official Discord server. The link should also be in the description of this video. You can also check out our You can also check out our main webpage where there's a bit more information on the game as well. And we do have a Facebook page where we announce everything that we're going to be doing. And we do have a YouTube, as you all know now watching this, we do have a YouTube channel where we periodically release videos. And our main plan now is to film our upcoming sessions of our new campaign. The plan there is going to be it's going to be edited. So we are not Matthew Mercer and his team. We are not professional voice actors, and I can't imagine anyone spending 8 or more hours watching unedited raw footage of us playing ROTS. You know, that I wouldn't watch it, and I fucking love ROTS. So it's going to be edited, and the sessions are going to be condensed, hopefully to 40 minutes or maximum 1 hour. Where I'll take the highlights and narrate what had happened, and show in every session show a bit of our game mechanics and stuff that's happening. So you know, we appeal to those that just want to listen to the story and those that want to see more about the game and stuff like that. All of this is done to market the game. Our game is ready for a Kickstarter. On top of that, I've even done certain things that I thought I'm gonna leave for Kickstarter, and I've done it in advance. I've spent a lot of time, me, my team, my artists, doing this, and we've poured our heart and souls into this project. And the only thing that we need now is word of mouth. You know, to spread awareness that this game exists, that it is a valid option, and yeah, basically just market the game. Just, you know, shove it into people's hands.
Just to let people know.
I can put out a suggestion. I mean, it is kind of public, but nevertheless, make a fucking Twitter account. So, it's very easy to. The community for TTRPGs on Twitter is really, really great. You just put in hashtag TTRPG, hashtag D&D5V, hashtag D&D, and everybody from the community will see it. I made like 300. I got 300 followers in like a month. It's super easy, and I'm not even really that active.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
So,
okay. We'll definitely do that. Thanks for the advice.
Yeah, and it will give you a really good insight on the community and what they're asking for and what they follow. Mm-hmm. And you'll see how many developers are developing and making stuff, and how many YouTube channels there are, and how many other stuff there is, artists, and you know, all of it together. There's a lot of stuff out there. Just so you know.
I mean, we
have this guy named Philip, not this Philip, but guy named Philip, who's a developer, who can actually help you with this, with a shout out or something, and you'll get noticed. It's not going to be a problem.
Okay.
Yeah. So, guys, I think we made it to the end. Is there anything else you would like to say to the people who maybe want to try something else that's more high stakes, high fantasy,
grounded
game?
Yeah. Well, what we can say is, we welcome you all. First of all, we think that we have something here that's definitely going to interest you, and something that's rather unique. And this is a unique opportunity to get yourself familiarized with it and actually have fun for a change, to enjoy something like this.
Well, look, I'm sure people enjoy what they're doing, but yeah, as Philip said, you have an alternative. You have an alternative now. If ROTS is mainly, it is mainly aimed at that niche people that really like high fantasy, but preferred it. The approach to it was more realistic. So, yeah, everybody's welcome, basically. I know your pain, people. I DM'd D&D for 10 plus years. I know the pain. I know the hair loss that you get from just by but the problem with bookkeeping, with the problem with initiative and fucking hit points.
Yeah, he went bull because of that,
yeah,
as you can see.
clearly. So I know your pain, and if you want an alternative, D&D is fine, nothing against it. But if you want something else, if you want to try something else, and not only if you're coming from D&D, there may be people, and I've had a lot of this recently, who only played PC games, and they were interested, like, wow, what's this? What's a tabletop RPG? Yeah, those people still exist. Yeah, people that don't know what a tabletop RPG is. I know. I was shocked as well. But yeah. But yeah, that's it. Basically it.
Yeah, generally join us on our Discord and yeah.
Thank you for this. Thank you for being a part of contribution. Hopefully you had fun watching this. I mean, we tried at least, and hopefully it will make you donate some money to the people that are suffering from the earthquake in Banja in Croatia. And yeah, I guess that's it, guys. That's the way the cookie crumbles, or whatever you say it.
Well, what we do, we do have a little tradition here at ROTS. Philip.
You then.
Yeah, we have a little tradition.
We do.
Yeah, we do have a little tradition. So as I'm constantly reminded, I have to say certain things whether I like to or not at the end of every video, and that is like and subscribe.
Shout out to Eric.
Godspeed, adventurers.
Yeah.